I've had the privilege and honor of serving in the capacity of President and CEO of the Bridgeport Regional Business Council, believe it or not now, for 24 years. And it's an honor for which I have been and will continue to be eternally grateful. And one of the privileges I've had over that 24-year period is for probably 20 or 21 times I've had the opportunity to introduce the guest speaker at our annual meeting. So today, I want to continue in that tradition and introduce the guest speaker at our annual meeting. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining us today, all of you, as we once again celebrate, recognize, and build upon the work and the success of your organization, the Bridgeport Regional Business Council. I too want to especially take this opportunity to thank those sponsoring entities that continue to provide us with the resources to do what we're able to do on your behalf. So everyone that's a sponsoring entity today, thank you. The list is too long for me to read. You know who you are. Everyone in the room now knows who you are. Your names are in the program. Your names are on these walls. So thank you for your generosity and thank you for your continued support. This year, as I said, I had to reach out really far to find out the right speaker for today's session. I had to find someone that's dedicated to this mission. I had to find someone that's regularly excited about what we do and what we continue to do on a daily basis. I had to find someone that clearly recognizes the progress that we've made in this region generally and in the city that we represent specifically in building a better world for business within Bridgeport, within Stratford, within Trumbull, and within this greater region. And I had to find someone that surely appreciates the role that our members, our board, our volunteers, and our staff play in helping to enable that success. Finding that someone with these qualities was particularly important for this particular event because we've designed this event around having people in the room that are not yet members of ours that hopefully are a recruitment opportunity for the Bridgeport Regional Business Council. Normally, we invite a speaker for this occasion that either represents one of our member businesses or has something particular to say about our mission. But this year, for the first time in a long time, I decided to not reach out very far to find that someone because I wanted this opportunity to speak to all of you directly and to speak particularly to those of you that are not yet members of ours, because I'm the one that's responsible for the success or ultimately the failure of this organization. So I thought those of you that are not yet members of ours and those of you that are currently members of ours needed to hear from me. But I must again let all of you know that I would not be here in this capacity today if it were not for all of you. So let me again thank our volunteers, thank the members of the Board of Directors of the Bridgeport Regional Business Council, and I particularly want to thank two board members today that are especially helpful to me and have been especially helpful to me over the last 6 months, and that's our chairman, Mike Niedermeyer from Blum Shapiro, and I also want to thank, where's Paul? It's Paul Plouffe from Service Master. Where's Paul Plouffe? Paul has spent the last 6 months interviewing every one of the 56 members of the Board of Directors of the Bridgeport Regional Business Council with regard to where we are, where we have been, where we need to go in the future, and that's a little bit about what I want to talk to you about today as a result of Paul's good work. In today's audience, we actually have over 35 businesses that are not members of the Bridgeport Regional Business Council, and I want to thank each one of them for giving us the opportunity to make our case about membership. Each of you represents members to be. It is my plan over the next 4 hours, it's my plan over the next 12 minutes or 15 minutes or so to provide you with an opportunity to make a judgment on the work of the Bridgeport Regional Business Council and decide whether or not an investment in us is worth your while, just as 900 other businesses currently do. We're going to give you the opportunity to, in fact, determine whether or not this is a good investment and whether or not, in fact, the work that we do has the potential to impact your business on a regular basis. So let me start by briefly describing to all of you, our current members and our potential members, who we are. Bridgeport Regional Business Council is a regional chamber of commerce. We manage 3 chambers of commerce in this region: Stratford, Bridgeport, and Trumbull. We're a business membership association, and we're an economic development driver, facilitator, and force in the Bridgeport region. We exist to service our members' companies' needs. We exist to provide each of them with opportunities. That is the key to what we do, opportunities for each of you. And we exist to improve the environment in which you do business on a day-to-day basis. We exist to make this place a better place. The role that we play can only be played with your help. Today, our organization, our region, and the city that we represent are again, in my opinion, at a critical crossroads. We all know we just experienced the worst economic crisis in a generation that we all know is not quite over. We all know that our state, after years of being a very inhospitable place for business, is now grappling with how to be a better place for business, and I think we're making progress. We all know that grappling in a state with the education system that we currently have is very difficult, but the challenge is being met. Finally, the state is making a decision to invest in education, to reform the way we educate our kids, because each of your businesses will be dependent upon the success of that effort. And I want to commend people like the Bridgeport Board of Education and its current members and the governor of the state of Connecticut for grappling with this very tough issue, and members of the legislature such as Laura Hoydick and Andre Sayela. Thank you. It's about time. We also know that we continue to face enormous challenges, but we also know the region in which we live and the city that we represent have enormous opportunity for success. In order for your business membership association to be able to continue our success and to have the necessary clout and impact to do what we need to do to assure the success of your business and to protect your interests, we need you. We need you to be with us. We need you to be a part of us. We ask that those of you that are in this room today that invest in us to continue to invest in us so that we can help guarantee your success, but we particularly ask to hear from those of you that are not yet investors in us to recognize what we're doing, to recognize that we'll have an impact on you, and to, in fact, agree to become a member of the Bridgeport Regional Business Council. I want to introduce to you today 5 people and have them stand as I call their names. These folks are but a small sampling of members that are satisfied with their relationship with the Bridgeport Regional Business Council, because you're not going to just believe me about our success and the things that we do. If you have a moment afterwards, I want you to talk to these folks about why they invest in us and why that investment has an impact on them. First, I want you to stand as I recognize you. Carl Gastayer, Executive Director of the Klein, one of the most important institutions in the history of Bridgeport. Carl became a member not too long ago, and he has wonderful things to say about us, and he invested some dollars in us. You need to know him. Second, Joel Berger from J3 Web Marketing. Joel, stand up. Joel has only been a member of the Bridgeport Regional Business Council for about 4 or 5 months, but I think he comes to every event that we do, and the amount of business that he's already gained from his association with us, he tells me, is pretty substantial. Brian Collins from Collins Medical Equipment. Collins Medical Equipment has been a Bridgeport, Black Rock located business for probably about, I think it's 80 years. I think they just recently experienced their 80-year anniversary. They're currently located in Fairfield, and Brian Collins has become an active member of our Healthcare Council. Tim Bartlett, the Executive Director of the YMCA. When I decided to use Tim as a testimonial feature, they said to me, and my staff said to me, you can't use Tim, he used to work for us. I can use Tim because Tim is a great guy, Tim is a knowledgeable guy, and I taught him everything he knows. Now, let's zero in on our mission for a moment. As it should be, our mission gets to the heart of everything that we do. Our mission is jobs growth driven. Whether it's our work in the economic development arena that we do on a daily basis, whether it's our work with improving education that we've been doing for the last 6 years in partnership with the Board of Education in the City of Bridgeport, whether it's the events that we do about 60 or 80 events a year, whether it's our service offerings, or whether it's the work that we do in the halls of government to protect the interests of business, all of it relates to creating an environment for jobs growth in this city and in this region. In a few minutes, I'll talk about the specifics of that and how our work impacts your business, which in turn justifies your investment in us. But first, let me mention the historic roles that we as a Chamber of Commerce play, and as a business membership association that we play on your behalf. We are a community booster. You invest in us to say positive things and do positive things and create positive things and build positive movement for the city and for the region. You invest in us so that we can interface with and have an impact on the decisions that politicians make every day that impact your well-being. They make good decisions, they make bad decisions, and we work with them every day to impact those decisions. You invest in us so that we can create opportunities for you that will increase your network, that will increase your potential customers, and that will increase your potential clients and employees and gets you in contact with decision makers. And you invest in us so that we can be a forum through which things get done, through which a better place is built, and through which your business grows and ultimately prospers. That's why, for example, it's important to us, to you, that we do things like recognize the people that we recognized here earlier. We recognize a volunteer of the year, a legislator of the year, an educator of the year, a green business of the year, an economic development project or two of the year. These things celebrate successes in our region, and your success is dependent upon these things. They cannot exist without you, and you cannot exist without them, and they are willing to invest in this region because business people like you decide to stay in this region, grow in this region, invest in this region, and enable their success. There are two things that need to be said up front and clearly in order to understand the work of the Bridgeport Regional Business Council and the context in which it is done. First, the Business Council has intrinsically very little authority. We have intrinsically very little power. We can't do anything on our own. Nothing. So, we never take full credit for anything that's of a successful nature in Bridgeport or in the region. Anything that's accomplished in terms of economic development ultimately is not directly our doing. Anything that's accomplished in economic development in our region is not directly our doing. Everything that's done is done through partnerships, collaborations, political efforts, and individual efforts on the part of individual people working together for a better region. Secondly, in doing the work that we do in the economic development in Bridgeport and in the region, it is critical that we recognize that that work, one, is hard, that work, two, is long-term, and that work, three, creates controversy. And it puts us in a position to not necessarily be all things to all people. The thing that has been the most difficult for us over the years has been the balancing of Bridgeport's interests with our regional interests. Because we have concentrated the bulk of our energies, the bulk of our time, and the bulk of our resources working in the central city to build the economy of the central city, the perception among many is that we oftentimes neglect the interests of our suburban partners, and even our regional chamber of commerce that we manage in Stratford and in Trumbull. We like to think that this is far from the truth. Our interest in Bridgeport's revitalization is due to our interests with regard to economic development in this region and its businesses and its residents. Everything that we do in Bridgeport will impact everything that will occur from an economic point of view in Stratford and in Trumbull and even in Fairfield and in Monroe. We believe that an improved Bridgeport results in greater jobs that are not just for Bridgeporters, they're for this region. We believe that an improved Bridgeport results in greater image enhancement, which translates into greater desirability, improved property values, and a greater environment for businesses to be in Stratford and for businesses to be in Trumbull. Bridgeport depends upon Stratford and Trumbull clearly depends upon Bridgeport, as does Stratford. I believe that more and more people in our region and more businesses in our region are beginning to recognize and agree with that conclusion. And that is, as goes Bridgeport, so goes the region. I see evidence of it every day. And today I'm especially pleased to announce a new regional marketing partnership with RE/MAX Right Choice, a Trumbull-based real estate company that is sold on Bridgeport. And we'll be working closely with the Bridgeport Regional Business Council in the years ahead. And we'll be looking at developing a presence in Bridgeport in addition to their presence in Trumbull, because they're sold on the city of Bridgeport. And I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the commercial team of RE/MAX Right Choice. John LaBella, Bob Laska, Joe Almeida, Dave Almeida, Michael Wright, and Wayne D'Amico, as well as Jeff Wright. Guys, please stand. This is a new... Remember, this is a real estate company, a commercial and residential real estate company that's been located in Bridgeport for 25 years. They recognize the value of its relationship with Bridgeport. They are coming to Bridgeport for a presence, and they're partnering with us because they recognize the opportunity that it will impact their bottom line. Thank you, guys. Now, let's take a minute to outline the position the Bridgeport Regional Business Council has taken for years relative to economic recovery in our region's central city. We posited a theory a number of years ago that in order for economic development to occur in the city of Bridgeport and to succeed in the city of Bridgeport, 6 things had to happen, essentially in sequential order, but overlapping to some degree. First, the city's financial house had to be put in order. Second, the city had to be better managed. Third, the city needed an economic development vision and plan. And fourth, the city needed public investment to do things like buy property, clean up property, rebuild infrastructure, rebuild public facilities. Fifth, the city needed political clout, political strength, and political will. And sixth, when those 5 things happened, the theory was that the next most important thing would occur, and that is private investors would then agree to reach into their own pocket and invest in the city of Bridgeport. Well, we need to thank people like Mayor Bill Finch and some of his predecessors. We need to thank people like the Bridgeport City Council and the Bridgeport Legislative Delegation for all of the work that they've done to enable those first 5 things to happen. Bridgeport is in much better shape today financially. Bridgeport is in much better shape today from a management perspective. Bridgeport has a vision. Bridgeport has a plan. Bridgeport has a significant amount of public investment that we'll show you in a minute. Bridgeport has political clout, political will, and political desirability, thanks to people like Andre Sayella. And now we see significant private investment in the city of Bridgeport. I see evidence of it every day that will impact this region. I want to recognize 5 people that are private investors today in the city of Bridgeport that are not necessarily dependent upon significant public dollars as investors were in Bridgeport 10 years ago. Bill Malone from Bridgeport Biodiesel, who's a part of our West End Industrial Park. Bill runs 3 companies, Bridgeport Biodiesel, Enviro Express, and Royal Flush. Bill Malone, private investor of significant dollars. Jan Cohen from Brilco. Jan has a $15 million redevelopment project on Barnum Avenue that's changed the face of Barnum Avenue. For those of you that have not driven down that thoroughfare in a number of years, you won't recognize it, and it's because of the efforts of Jan Cohen, who has reached into his own pocket and invested in Bridgeport because he saw it as a good investment. Again, 10 years ago, that would have never happened. We needed the public investment before the private investment came. Robert and Bard Kligerman from Connecticut Realty and Trust. These are 2 guys that nobody in the room probably knows. They're new investors in Bridgeport, and over the last year or so, they have purchased 265 residential units in the city of Bridgeport with their own dime, and their plan is to purchase 1,000 more over the next year or 2 because they recognize the value of the city and the region. They are investing their own dollars. Bob Carlson. Bob Carlson's been a Bridgeporter for a lot of years, but he's not been an investor in the city of Bridgeport until recently. He's now investing significant dollars in a building that was abandoned and boarded up for 15 years, 333 State Street, which you'll see as a reconverted residential and commercial building over the next couple of years. Again, private investor. One more time, we need to recognize my good friend Phil Kuchma. Phil Kuchma has invested in the Bijou project significant dollars of his own money. He's put his own money at risk. And if anybody recognizes the value of what's been done in Bridgeport over the last 10 years of terms of having a city that's better managed, better financed, better run, has a vision, has a plan, has political will, and has some vision with regard to what it wants to be when it grows up, it's Phil Kuchma. Phil, thank you for your private investment. These individuals, again, have reached into their own pocket, risked their own money, and invested in Bridgeport, therefore invested in our region, and they will impact each one of you in terms of your business opportunities. I'd like to take this opportunity also to point out to you how much the Business Council, as an organization, has invested in the success of the city of Bridgeport and the region over the last few years. If you look at this list of investments that we made, it kind of makes me tired. because I've had to go out over the last few years and raise over $3.5 million from our member companies so that we can accomplish all the things that are on this list that have helped us to make a better region and help us to make a better city of Bridgeport. If you look at a couple of these projects, believe it or not, it was, I think, 12 years ago when the last city charter revision was completed, and we were able to get a 4-year term, thank God, for the mayor of the city of Bridgeport. Bill Finch couldn't be accomplishing the things that he's accomplishing today, and the list is long, without having the luxury of a 4-year term. And it was the Bridgeport Regional Business Council that raised the money to enable that to happen 4 years ago, and therefore created some stability and some continuity in the city of Bridgeport that enables this economic development success to take place. Currently, we're investing $400,000 a year now on an annual basis to help us build 2 new corporate parks, industrial parks in the city of Bridgeport that we'll talk about in a minute. And as Mike Niedermeyer mentioned in his opening remarks, in the last couple of years, we've invested over $650,000 to help improve the city of Bridgeport's Board of Education and therefore the output of the city of Bridgeport's school system. This $3.5 million investment over the last number of years by the Bridgeport Regional Business Council has helped to create the environment for business improvement, the environment that I talked about earlier that's required for businesses like yours and investors like those I just cited to be willing to reach into their pocket to invest in this city. Despite the real progress that we've made, as you all know, because I hear it every day and I'm sure you hear it every day, we have a long way to go. I like to think of this work in terms of creating a new city in Bridgeport as a 100-mile journey. We're on about mile 40, so we have about 60 miles to go. But all of you that have been here for a while will surely remember that it wasn't that long ago that the car was driving backwards. The car is now driving forward. We're on mile 40. We have 60 miles to go, but we've made a tremendous amount of progress. At its height, Bridgeport had 20,000 more jobs than it does today. So I think, and we think, and the city thinks, that the goal for economic development in Bridgeport needs to be to create an environment in which 20,000 new jobs are created, so those jobs that were lost can ultimately be recaptured. In addition, the city needs to develop enough economic development so it can achieve $50 million a year in added annual tax revenue. And in addition, the city has to have probably $3 billion in capital investment in order for its economic development vision to be implemented. I know some of you will find this hard to believe, but these are the approximate numbers that you see before you now that Bridgeport has already achieved toward these goals, or will be achieving because there are projects on the drawing board that will help the city result in $50 billion or $50 million a year in added tax revenue, $3 billion a year in capital investment, and 20,000 jobs. This is on its way. Thank you to Mayor Finch. Thank you to the city administration. Thank you to everybody that keeps their eye on the ball and demonstrates what needs to be done in order to achieve these kinds of results. Obviously, in order to do the kinds of things that need to be done to achieve these results, the effort and the plan needs to be comprehensive, it needs to be integrated, and it needs to be based upon the city's strengths as well as the region's strengths. So in terms of development projects, that's why the Business Council needs to be supportive of and needs to play a role in those things that will enable these goals to be achieved. That is why our recently adopted Board of Directors work plan recognizes the importance of and support for what you now see behind me. There is a misnomer out there that the Business Council has always been of the opinion that only one big project will be the savior of our region, and only one big project will be the savior, therefore, of the city of Bridgeport. Only one thing like Steel Point or one thing like a casino will save the city. There's nothing that's further from the truth. Clearly, major initiatives are necessary because clearly, in order to build the kind of numbers that we think need to be built here in terms of jobs and tax-based growth, major projects are necessary. But lots of what we call singles and doubles, little victories, are ultimately what will be the page turner. It's critical for us to recognize the very large number of singles and doubles that have already been achieved. Just as important, we must be clear and give credit to the city administration and others for the significant triples and home runs that have been achieved or are on the drawing boards. But let us be perfectly clear about this for the city, and let us be perfectly clear about this for our region, for Stratford, for Trumbull. There is no silver bullet. Not one thing will make Bridgeport or will make our region a better region. It's many things. It's a very multi-dimensional approach to improvement. It's a very multiple dimensional approach to economic development expansion. And the only way in which we can succeed is if we recognize that small things are important, large things are important, and we need to maintain our focus in getting those things done. You know, it's typical of all cities around the country that have experienced economic revitalization that, believe it or not, they take 25 to 40 years to make happen. If you look at the list, the cities that we recognized on the list that were behind me earlier, cities like Baltimore and Cleveland and Pittsburgh, they didn't become newly enhanced overnight. They took 30 years, they took 40 years, they took 45 years. Believe it or not, if you look at Bridgeport's success, I'm of the opinion that the groundwork for Bridgeport's economic development turnaround started to be laid about 10 or 15 years ago, when the state relocated the state police barracks to downtown Bridgeport, when we were successful at getting Housatonic Community College to be located from Barnum Avenue to downtown Bridgeport, and when we created a strong public-private partnership that resulted in the development of a new arena and new ballpark in the south end of Bridgeport. Those three things, in my opinion, were the beginning of Bridgeport's revitalization. So Bridgeport is in year 10 or 15 of its revitalization. So if you look at what happened in the other cities around the country that have been revitalized, Bridgeport's actually ahead of schedule. So those of you that say, oh, nothing ever happens in Bridgeport, oh, we're not making it, we're not getting there, we're not achieving it, believe me, I can say this without offending you. You're wrong. We are making it. We are getting there. We are achieving it. It's hard work, it's of long duration, and it requires focus, it requires staying the course, and it requires retorting every day the naysayers that say nothing is happening in Bridgeport. Now let us ask, let me ask the important question. What does all this mean to all of you? What does it mean to you regionally? What does it mean to you personally? And what does it mean in terms of your business? What the hell is Tim Pinelli talking about? What does this have to do with my business? To me, it's clear, and I hope it's clear to you. Bridgeport's success, our region's success, will improve your business condition. How could Stratford and Trumbull, for example, achieve success without Housatonic Community College? How could Stratford and Trumbull achieve success without two award-winning hospitals in our region? How could Stratford and Trumbull achieve success without the Metro North Line? How could Stratford and Trumbull achieve success without I-95 running through our corridor? How could Stratford and Trumbull achieve success without a resource recovery facility? How could Stratford and Trumbull achieve success without a sewage treatment plant? The answer is that our suburban partners, our suburban communities could not succeed without Bridgeport-based infrastructure. We are in this together. We are in this with a common future, and we need to look at Bridgeport's success as our region's success. In terms of your business, I'll take the approach, if I can, that Bill Clinton took when he successfully ran for president in 1992. And the electorate then was not offended by his approach, and I hope today you're not offended by my approach. It's the economy, stupid. Everything that we do, everything that the Bridgeport Regional Business Council does relates to creating and providing opportunities for your business. All the work that we do is done in an attempt to improve the environment, physical and otherwise, for jobs growth that will impact your business. It will give you the opportunity for more clients. It'll give you the opportunity for more customers. It'll give you the opportunity for more employees. It will give you the opportunity to impact your bottom line. So what's the impact on you? It's opportunities. The work that we do invests in opportunities for you. Let's look at the real numbers in order to be perfectly clear about this opportunity thing. It's all about jobs. These numbers are really startling. Look at what just 100 new jobs does for a region. 100 new jobs brings to a region over $5 million in new personal income. 100 new jobs brings to a region over $2.5 million in new bank deposits. $100 million brings to a region over $110 million in new residential property sales, over almost $2 million in new retail sales, almost $1.5 million in durable goods sales, $500,000 in sales tax income. That's what 100 jobs does. So if we're successful in partnership with the city and others in the region in creating an environment here for 20,000 new jobs, look at the results. The numbers are astounding. The numbers are incredible. 20,000 new jobs brings over $1 billion in new personal income. If there were $1 billion in new personal income circulating in this region, would your business be impacted? You can't say no. Obviously, your business would be impacted. If there were $400 million in new retail sales in this region resulting from 20,000 new jobs, would your business be impacted? No question about it. Your business would be clearly impacted. Do the math. A bank, a retailer, a restaurant, an accountant, a plumber, a contractor, a retailer, every business, despite the business type, is positively impacted by job growth. Therefore, every business is positively impacted by what an organization like ours does. Let me conclude by looking at what the future holds. 2 months ago, the Business Council Board of Directors adopted a work plan for this organization for the 3 years ahead of us. Let me cite a few things that we'll be concentrating on in that work plan. One of the things that we'll be concentrating on is expanding our reach. We're trying to work with additional chambers of commerce in our region to become a part of our family. Hopefully we'll be successful in that. Another one of the things that we're concentrating on is working on real partnership with the city of Bridgeport on 2 new development opportunities in this city that you're going to hear much more about in the months ahead. The first one we call our corporate healthcare park, which is hopefully going to result from the opportunity that exists along the east side of Bridgeport, bordering in Stratford, and includes part of Stratford, to create 525 acres of new real estate development. As you all know, the General Electric Corporation owns 75 acres on Boston Avenue, and the DuPont Corporation is the property owner of 450 acres behind the General Electric Corporation on Boston Avenue. That 525 acres will be one of the largest real estate development opportunities in the Northeast in the next couple of years. And yes, we've been talking about this for 10 years, and yes, it's been a long time, and yes, it's been your hard work, but yes, it's going to happen. You're going to hear an announcement in the next couple of months to start this corporate industrial park, and we'll save the public announcement for the mayor because obviously it's within his purview to do that. But this corporate industrial park will create an opportunity for over 3,000 new job opportunities in the year ahead. In the southwest corner of the city, down on the west end, we're working on a concept to create an eco-industrial park, where we will locate environmentally related businesses because we already have located there environmentally related businesses. And you're going to be hearing about 5 projects that are already underway as we speak. This is not a dream, this is reality. 5 new projects that are already underway as we speak that we'll be announcing in the next couple of weeks. The first one will be on June 27th, where we will announce the location of the first mattress recycling facility in the state of Connecticut to be located in a building that Tom Santa owns on Ironston Avenue. And they will recycle mattresses. How many mattresses a day are recycled in the state of Connecticut? I shouldn't say recycled. How many mattresses a day are discarded in the state of Connecticut? Does everyone have a guess? I'm going to pick the first hand that's risen. 1,500. You saw my speech before. There are 1,500 mattresses a day that are discarded on the streets of Connecticut that will now be taken to a new mattress recycling facility on the west end of Bridgeport. So, you need to know that your Bridgeport Regional Business Council is working on these things. You need to know that your Bridgeport Regional Business Council has a plan for our future. We invite you to participate in that plan. Does any of this work, is the question, impact your business? We believe that the answer is yes. So if you agree, those of you that are in the room that are not yet members of ours, we are asking you to stay the course. We are asking you to invest in us, or we are asking you, for those of you that are already invested in us, to continue that investment. If you're not yet a member and are here as a prospect, we're asking for your support. By you investing in us, not only will you get a direct and measurable return on that investment, but you will be an integral part in creating our unity of purpose. You'll be an integral part in increasing the clout that we have as an organization to impact public decisions. And you'll be an integral part of the work that we do on a day-to-day basis to grow jobs in this region. We need you to become a part of us. Thank you for being with us today. Have a good afternoon. Thanks for being a member of the Bridgeport Regional Business Council and supporting us this afternoon. It's always good to have you with us.